Welcome to
Oh,
the
okay.
live. Hey everyone. Hey everyone. So myself and Teecee Okore are back for another live stream. We are amazingly impressed by all the things that you guys are doing out there in the world. But we want to talk about something today that I think is really important. Out of all of the hard work and all of the things that we are doing, sometimes we have to take a pause. And as we were discussing it today, I told TC, I said, I want to change the conversation. A million and one phone calls, probably because of the conference this week. But we're giving into the conversation to really go into the holiday season and the new year without the burnout. And some of you are already there. Some of us are already experiencing the overwhelm and the weight of the things that we've kind of put on our own plate, as well as the things that we're responsible for. And I want to just give a little bit of alleviation here for some people who feel like they got to count it out, right? Your business does not have to suffer. And burnout is a condition. It is something that happens and we allow it to be there in our lives. So we do have control over how we can prevent it or how we can actually get ourselves out of it. We're going to talk about that in this live. We're going to also talk about it in a series upcoming where I have two other amazing women that are going to be joining us, especially on Clubhouse. So I want you guys to make sure that you join in these conversations and follow us so that you can understand how to really maintain your mental health and your emotional stability throughout the holiday season and beyond. I'm Allegra Jackson. I'm the marketing medulla and I'm a business coach, marketing strategist. I've been in the game for a long, long time. So, business changes, but the actual skeleton and bones of it does not. So we always make sure that we take you to that next level of business, whether you're in a startup phase, you're growing, or you're scaling up. There's always ways to really identify where you need to work in your business and how you need to gain those resources to do that. We support that for you in coaching and development. TC over here, a partner in our organization, as well as her own businesses, TC Business Solutions. She's going to talk to you about what she does before we get into this burnout conversation, because I also work with TC in so many ways. And if you really need to understand how to be consistent in the back end of your business, TC is going to get you all the way together. Don't sleep on her. But TC, I would love for you to introduce yourself.
You're right. You're right. Okay, so while you were speaking, something came up for me. Burnout, we shouldn't get there. Overwhelm, it does happen every now and then, and it's not something that one can necessarily control. But you see, burnout, we can also feel like so many of us kind of have to find a way of mixing like overwhelm, burnout, and all of that. But just so we know, a good number of us are already like check right now, and that might just be because of certain situations, which basically we're going to be breaking down today. And so I'm very excited to talk about this because whether we agree or not, this is a period where business owners should however, because of what I call the business burnout, we find ourselves overstretching, but not even yielding into the opportunities that we should literally take advantage of, right? And so that's why personally for me, I feel like this conversation and Allegra is done with switching her screen. My name is Teecee, everyone, and I'm a business growth consultant. I'm also a fractional CMO. Now, this is to say that when it comes down to executing the strategy, more or less like getting you to either do the work or I get the work done for you, that's my area of expertise. Now, I love sticking with the back end of your business because, hey, that's where the money is, right? That's where the transformation basically is, or rather starts from. And that's why when it comes down to the back end of your business, think about it, from your launches, from your systems, from your automations, from your lead gen, all of that, right? That's a good spot that I always like to identify myself with because the magic happens there. happens there. But you see, when it comes down to the back end of your business, something that we need to address specifically is burnout. Because even if you have the best back end, strategies and all of that, if that particular element is in your business mix, it literally slows down on every single thing else that you have going on, or that you have working for your business. So that's why I'm excited that we're talking about this. And Allegra, I think it's time we just dive into it.
Okay, no problem. And thank y'all for watching. Teecee just did a great, she's talking about really getting into this area, this time of the season where we are so busy, y'all, that burnout is easy to hit. So easy to hit. Please let me know if y'all ever experienced burnout before. You can drop a heart in the chat. You can respond and make a comment. But the reason why I think it's so important for us to identify this, because business is not slowing down, right? Like, it's never going to slow down. We have to keep up with whatever pace that remains. So if you are, for example, if you are getting more clients than you normally do around the holiday season, right? Now, Teecee, sometimes, we kind of look at that and we say, oh, that's a great thing. Because you want more clients, that equals more money, that equals more clients and more opportunity to teach people and help people in the world. And I think it's important for us to understand what that really means for us, though, because if you're one person in your business and you get more clientele, that means that you have to spread yourself even more among that work. And some of the biggest things that I've noticed, especially in clients that I've been working with in these seasons, and this is why every year we have some type of conversation about burnout, about recovery, about self-awareness, right? Because the truth is, you go throughout the whole year and you work very diligently on your success. But it's so easy to just get caught up in it all, right? Especially if you're working on by yourself. And so I've noticed that it's in this time of the year, if you're going to do any type of hiring, or if you're going to do any type of, hey, come support me, or if you have people in your circle like that can partner up with you, this is especially the time of the year to do that. And a lot of times we're creating relationships all throughout the year in order to do this. But I want you to ask yourself, are you actually taking advantage of the partnerships, the opportunity to get the right people around you and to hire the right people, even if it means they're working on contract and commission first? And the truth about it is that a lot of us are scared to actually get people on board to help us. Now, I want to talk about that, Teecee, because when I think about burnout, I'm gonna tell y'all what it really is. Now, business burnout is a whole nother area, because when you burn out in general and you don't have a business, maybe you can chill out and things won't fall apart. But if you have a business and you burn out and you're the only one in that business, then that business has to stop when you do. And if you've ever been through burnout, like I have literally been there, Teecee has been there, and it's something that takes you completely out of it. You have no control. You can't muster up any strength. You don't have you can't even think, okay? Can't even think. So to be in a place like that causes frustration, overwhelm. It creates anger, right? It also affects the way that you deal with your family. So we want to keep you in a place where you're not going there. And avoiding business burnout means that you're taking all the steps to manage yourself first. And so let me tell y'all what burnout really is. It's a state of physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion caused by prolonged or excessive stress. Okay? So this means that it's not because you've just been working diligently, right? No. Burnout comes from when you're working and you're not getting the results. And that's what I really want to lean into today. Because there's a little bit of an insanity there to think that we can keep doing something the same way and it's going to turn out okay one day. I have been that person, so I can speak from experience that sometimes we're very passionate about what we do. And that passion can lead to a lot of extra work and extra things. I remember working on a website for a whole month, didn't even need to do it. But, it was, number one, a way for me to avoid the real work. And so I didn't. So in order for me to really move the meter, instead of making phone calls like I should have, instead of, really sending out intentional emails like I should have, instead of, talking to specific people that I know could actually help me, right? Instead of doing that, I was like, let me go do the website. Why? Because it's easier. And the burnout from that comes from when we are stressing because we're not actually getting the work done. Do you know that your brain remembers everything that you said you were going to do? Your brain acknowledges and it keeps hold of everything that you said you're going to do. So when you said, I'm going to start the business, I'm going to launch the product, I'm going to, every time you don't actually do the thing, what ends up happening is your brain deems it as a betrayal, right? And your brain has to operate in a healthy way. It has to operate so that it can help your heart function, help your body walk, help your gut. All of this comes from your brain too, right? Your gut is your second brain. I'm not going to get into the health factors because I do my own studies, but you have to be very, very cautious, and I want to make sure that in this season that we're not getting into this place of overwhelm, y'all. So that means that if you are feeling overwhelmed right now, I want you to drop something in the comments to tell us what you are experiencing, not only to, support you, but to help other people that are watching this live stream. We're going to be going into a heavy season, and this is not going to get any easier. Business is going to pick up. Most people are going to get more frustrated with their jobs. They're going to get more frustrated with their lack of success. And we, myself and Teecee, are here helping people every day build their businesses from the ground up. So I implore you to really start focusing on what is stressing you out. Because if burnout is a state of physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion caused by prolonged or excessive stress, that means that you're putting yourself through it. And you're probably doing it right now, you know? And I want to kind of highlight that. Teecee, before we go to the key signs of burnout, can you just elaborate on your experience in burnout and talk to us about, what that really means?
So the truth is, so many of us do not even know that we are burnt out. I mean, that's the scariest part. Because sometimes, or rather, it took me a while for me to realize that this is what burnout really looks like. That part where you just realize that, and this has nothing to having a team or not having a team. I mean, having a team is good, but you see, I had a team when I had my second episode. I still have a team, right? So it's not necessarily about, because just because you have a team doesn't necessarily mean you know how to use and leverage your team, right? So that is another conversation for another day. Now we're talking about burnout, right? Because I feel like it is important that we understand what the triggers are for business burnout. Understand that it's not anything to be ashamed of. It's not anything to be scared about. It's just something for you to understand so that you don't get yourself there. Because usually I see solopreneurs, right? In this stage, like the real kind of burnout, like the real original kind of burnout, are majorly found in solopreneurs. Because that one person who is like all over the place, and you forget that you're human, obviously, and you are the CEO, and then you are the this, you are the that. I mean, you can get to do all of these things, but you need to be very, which we're going to talk about, but understanding that there is something called real life burnout. Okay, that is like the first stage to finding solution to this problem. This is the first stage to getting out of it, because see, like Allegra said, it's about to get really real. Right now, before the end of this year, between now and the end of this year, this Q4 is usually like the period. But one thing I've understood also is that because Q4 is the season for us as business owners, so many of us as business owners find ourselves lagging behind, find ourselves falling off the wayside. Why? Because we've everything, and now instead of us placing those structures, those pillars to be able to mitigate the burnout, because we do not know of its existence. It's through existence. We do not know what it looks like. We're not able to put those things in place, right? And so we crash. Just when it's about to happen, we just crash, right? That last straw where you're going to put your all, just so that's why I love that we're having this conversation. And earlier, like you said, you wanted, I think we should talk about it because it's very important that we are aware as to what to look out for, so that we don't get ourselves in a fix.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I think I was unmuted the whole time. I usually mute my mic, y'all. So weird. I appreciate. Hey, Vernell. Vernell's here on Clubhouse with us. I just wanted to shout him out. This is something that I've experienced twice in my life, y'all. Twice. We're not talking about something that is just like a foreseen thing. I've been burnt out before. And it's not fun. It's really one of the most devastating things that you could go through when you know that you have responsibilities, because the truth is that you're there, but you're not. I'm going to express the key signs of burnout so you guys can see if that's you. I remember when someone told me, and this is and I'll tell y'all real quick before I talk about the key signs. I was working with several accounts when I got burned out. So let me just kind of lay it down for y'all. I was very busy. Okay. I had several accounts. I was working with one of my largest accounts was working with I think it was 5 or 6 celebrities. Okay. So y'all talk about managing social media and doing this and doing that. Like, just imagine, right? Posting every hour on the hour for several different accounts. And, it was so crazy that I had to pretty much remove all of my other services, right? At that time, because that particular service was the highest income generating activity. And it was something that I knew my clients were looking for at that time. So I was very, very excited, right? And I remember the overseer of the account, because there was a contact. And I remember going through him and saying, I want to see what other things I can really do to make this more seamless, because I had already felt like I was getting like overwhelmed, right? And for me, that was like my first sign. Like, I was feeling a little overwhelmed. Like, okay, this seems like a lot. But being the superwoman that I was, I can handle it. I don't want to be judged. I don't need help, right? I was like, well, I'll just keep doing it and we'll see. And if it gets to the point where I really can't handle it, then, I'll just have to do what I have to do. The problem is I was waiting until that was my problem. I didn't do it in the moment where I felt like, oh, okay, I'm getting a little overwhelmed. See, if I stopped at that point and said, it's feeling a little overwhelming, let me see who I can get to help me, then I would have been okay. But I didn't do that. I said, I think I can handle it. And I kept going. And yeah, I did take some things off my plate. Yes, I did have a team, right? Because I did lean on other people to do different things. But it wasn't really like, even when they wanted to do things, I still stepped in sometimes. I still did it anyway, right? So Teecee's point, like, managing your team properly is going to help you avoid that burnout too. Because you can have a whole bunch of people around you that you're paying and you're still doing their jobs. I've done it. So I know for a fact. But I do know that for, this burnout stage that I was in, I realized once I got to burnout, and I remember I didn't know that it was burnout. I actually thought, and this is what I would say to y'all, this is distracting me, I'm sorry, y'all. What bothered me about it was that I felt okay until the rep on the account was like, hey, I noticed that some things are happening. Okay. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? And I did know, I knew I had missed some things. I knew I had kind of, but you just apologize for it and keep moving, right? But you don't see the pattern. So he was like, I know you missed some things and I know you put it, so I see a pattern there. And I was like, what are you talking about? Because when you're working with celebrity accounts, when you're working with these big accounts, they're not going to let you burn out. Not on their time. So he was like, well, I see there's a pattern and it seems like you're about to burn out. I didn't know what burnout was. I was like, what do you mean about to burn out? I'm good. No, I'm good. Right. And it was kind of a pride thing, because the truth was that I wasn't feeling good. I was really trying to cover up for the fact that things were falling apart a little bit. But sitting in the face of someone else who, I wanted to be the boss to, it was like, well, I'm good. Don't worry about me. I got this. I should have told that man, I cannot handle this all by myself. I should have told that man, I need a break. I should have told, but you know what motivated me, y'all? And this is the sad part about it. And this is why I think burnout comes from this prolonged or longevity of stress, because I took on the stress because I needed the money. I took on the stress because I was like, okay, I already got myself in it. I'm running a business. I'm going to keep doing this. But if I would have paused and really took account on the stress that I was experiencing and the money that I was getting, I promise you the stress outweighed the money. Because when I burned out, I lost the entire account. So you cannot let yourself burn out, because it is detrimental to your business. And here are some of the key signs of burnout. Your physical and emotional exhaustion that you're going to experience. You are persistently fatigued. I have heard this from people, and I went on my TikTok, y'all, and I said this to some of the people there, and they resonated. I said, do you feel like you're sleeping all the time, but you're still not well rested? And they were like, yes, girl, yes. Okay. Then you are experiencing a certain level of fatigue, and it is not because you're not getting enough sleep. That right there, that physical and emotional exhaustion, that's what that is. And a lot of times, and that's why I said, difficulty sleeping is one thing, okay? Feeling drained all the time, that right there. And that's why I say to a lot of people, especially if like I'm in their space, I'm like, yeah, well, it sounds like you may need to just rest. Rest and sleep are two totally different things, because you can sleep and your brain is still actively thinking and worrying and constantly contemplating on what's next, what's to do, all these things. So resting and sleeping, they're two different things, because when you rest, you're allowing yourself to be free of all of the stress, all of the thoughts, all of the worry, all of the negatives. You're allowing yourself to just rest in God. Like, okay, well, I can't control none of that. So God, you go ahead and take care of it. I ain't got nothing to do with that. So if you're looking to really avoid that emotional and physical exhaustion, I would just say rest instead of just sleeping. That's number one, that key sign. Number two is reduced performance. And that's what happened with that account. I was losing the account as I was getting burned out. And he knew it. But I was like, no, I want to keep going. He knew it. He said, it seems like you're getting to burnout. And I was like, no, I'm good. But that reduced performance, struggling to stay productive, feeling ineffective, and doubting your capabilities. Y'all, do you know with every time I missed what I was supposed to do, I was like, oh my God, am I able to do this? I mean, is this possible? Like, it was like I literally went through a cycle of just overwhelm, basically, because my performance was really what I had in order to show my good character in business, right? Like, I could produce results. But as soon as my performance started going down, that stressed me out even more. I was like, oh my God, now it's really looking bad. I know I could do a better job. And then you start beating yourself up. The third sign is detachment and cynicism. If you're isolating yourself, having negative feelings towards the work, and your frustration is increasing. When I say to you all that is listening on this live stream and here on Clubhouse, the detachment and the cynicism, that is a true sign that you are completely burned out. Because it's something I did, and I remember that's when I realized that he was like, it all came to me at that time. When I started to read what does burnout really mean, I was like, oh my God, I was burnt out the whole time, and I'm thinking I'm just sleeping. That's weird. So I had to kind of look at the list and say, I'm detached. I had a sense of isolation, like nobody could help me. Nobody knew what I was really, really experiencing. I was trying to figure it all out by myself, right? And so that right there, and the negative feelings towards the work. Do you know, I was so excited when I first got that account. But down the line, as I started getting burned out, I started having real bad feelings towards the actual work. It wasn't the work, it was me. The work was still the same work. But it started to feel bad. It started to feel like this is not worth it. And that that increased frustration, y'all, it just makes it worse. And I'm gonna tell you that the last part is decreased motivation. If you have difficulty finding that motivation or enthusiasm, right, for all the things that you used to really love and enjoy, that's a really true sign there too. So these are real 4 good key signs that you're experiencing burnout. And I will actually drop this in the chat in this comments after the live. I'm going to let TC pick up the mic while I do that. But I'm telling you that the YouTube series we did 3 years ago, I think it was myself, Andrea Patrick, Kelly Williams. This is when Clubhouse was popping, okay? And we were going in, like we were doing all kinds of series together, and we have a whole series of how to fall back in love with your business. I'm going to share that series in the comments after this live stream, but I want you guys to really look at that and listen, like later, but listen to what we're saying in this live, because if you are experiencing any of these signs, physical and emotional exhaustion, reduced performance, detachment and cynicism, that's that frustration, decreased motivation, then you can go back to those videos that we did, and it's going to help you refocus on some of the areas of why you even started in your business. Because if you go back to the beginning and you start to realize that, oh, I kind of got off the track, that's why I feel so burnt out, because I'm trying to do something that I didn't originally even want to do. But there's so many reasons. So we kind of always want to go back to that. TC, I would love to hear your take on this last part of the keys of burnout.
Mm-hmm. You talked about demotivation and all of that, and then personally for me, I started to remember my second episode of Burnout. One thing we do not understand is what can actually make you burn out might not be what is going to make the other person burn out, right? What would necessarily make me burn out in my business might not necessarily make a legger burn out. So let me give an example. So I had a team, right? And two things that I noticed, you know, sometimes some people would be like, oh, niche down, niche down, niche down. And then I misinterpreted what niching down was. That was it for me. Yeah. So I was like, oh, maybe you get to do just one thing and do that and blah blah. And but you see, the truth is, I realized that I'm multi-passionate, right? Meaning, I don't know how you all would describe what multi-passionate is, but you see, for me, I love like plenty different things, yeah. And life gets more exciting for me when I have like a good number. It now I get frustrated, and I feel like I get to this part where I start to choke when I feel like in just one space, right? Now, this is me personally. Now, when I have like things happening, I don't know, it just plays this level of excitement in my mind. Now, that's who I am. But then there's a point where, oh, I'm like, okay, this is just what I'm going to do, and I'm then going to focus on it. And then it started to get very boring, right? Even with my clients, working with my clients, like it started to get choky, it started to get demoralizing, like everything started to like it wasn't making sense anymore. Like the job I used to like before, the work I used to like, it started getting choky. Like I started to feel like I was going to suffocate, right? But I still kept going on because obviously I started to feel, okay, you know what? A couple of good people out there are relying on me. So if I say, okay, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to blank out, I'm not going to do anything, like these people are like literally relying on me, yeah? And so I'm like, what do I do? So I keep going, I keep doing. And personally for me, it just threw me off because when I went off, like I literally went off. And then it literally affected the same people that I said I didn't want to affect. Okay. So at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, so to what end? All of this to what end? Like the same thing you're running away from is the same thing that still ended up happening. Right now, this is what I'm going to tell you. I know Allegra is going to talk about like the mitigation, but for this context, this is what I had to do for me in this regards, right? Because I started to realize that, listen, I cannot live my life based on somebody else's ways, because I'm me. The way I think is different. The way I perceive certain things is different. Yeah. So I said to myself, how about I make my life interesting for me? I mean, it could feel stressful for somebody else. Like, there's a point in my life, I had this friend that was like, Teecee, sometimes when I look at you from afar, I feel like you do a lot. But you see, at that particular time, my life is blissful. Like, literally, I'm happy. Because, you see, and she was saying, I couldn't understand what she was saying, because then I was happier, right? Because I wasn't feeling choked up in a particular space. Now, for me, I could do like this. I'm maybe designing a funnel, right? And then I have another client that wants me to maybe do like lunches somewhere. And then when I get bored of this, I just close this up and switch to the other thing. Like, I love the diversity, right? And it helps my mind. Now, when I started to understand who I was, when I started to own into the fact that I cannot be like somebody else, there some people would be like, oh, Teecee, you do a lot. Listen, that's a lot that you think I do. It's not a lot. It helps me. It helps me stay sane. It doesn't help. It doesn't make me choke. Unlike certain people, for me, it chokes me. It puts me in this space, and I feel like I want to breathe, right? And the entire thing starts to tell on everything I'm doing. But when I have like activity going on, I'm all excited. I'm like, wow, I'm doing this. It gets me all excited. Now that's who I am. Right now, I feel like sometimes we want to put ourselves in situations that we are not. Some people might want to say, oh, I'm going to do this kind of offer. Listen, sometimes the offers, the programs that you see around might not necessarily fit your personality. And that's why, for a little diversion, that's why when we talk about systems, when we talk about structures, when we talk about business model, when we talk about the process you put in place, you need to fit in who you are. Because if who you are is out of the box, listen, you're about to burn out in good time. You won't know. You just get yourself, right? So don't remove who you are from the entire piece. Now, I'm not expecting you to be like me. I'm not expecting you to be like Allegra. I'm just expecting you to be like you. Own it and own peace. Over to you, Allegra.
That's powerful. I love how you explained how everything that we do has to be so intentional for our own being. And I can promise y'all that there have been so many people I've come across, not just clients, that I've known to take on someone else's workload, meaning that I saw them do it, I'm going to do it like that. I want my business to look like that. And the truth is that it took something for that person to get to that point in their business, right? And it was intentional for them. But I love how when we talk about this, so you be really excited about what you're doing in the beginning, but along the way, checks and balances. Because when you find that you're not actually enjoying that thing, when you find that it's starting to become overwhelming, like I told y'all, that situation I was in where I lost that account, it was devastating. That account was worth so much money. But I count that as a lesson, because the truth is that I was taking on a task that I knew was out there, that I knew people did, right? I managed my own social media accounts. I tested in a program, so I knew that I could do it. But to the capacity of what I was doing it at, to go from I can manage a social media account to I can manage several social media accounts, it was just a huge leap. It was a huge leap. And I think that sometimes we do that, where we get very confident in ourselves, especially in the beginning of our business ownership. And it's okay. You should be that confident. To bet on yourself, but there's also a realism to it. Are you ready for that? And so when you were talking, Teecee, I'm thinking, well, there's got to be some level. And Holly, I invited you. If you want to come to the live stream, you can come join us in here, because I want to hear testimonials too, even in the chat, about what people are experiencing when they're going through burnout, right? Like, if you lose your motivation, why did that happen, right? Like, there's something that I love to do with myself every 6 months. And it's funny because I do it with myself, I do it with my business, I do it with my relationships. And this is basically a checks and balance stage for me. You know, some people will be like, oh yeah, I just checked my Facebook account and got rid of all my, all the old ones. I do that every 6 months. I don't worry about it. Okay. It will get checked. And I think that helped me from what I experienced in burnout. It helped me identify that I have to have a system in place for my personal life as well as my business. Because every 6 months, if I check and make sure I'm okay, and that includes everything from therapy to my relationships and love, my family, right? Because there are some times where you're burnt out, not because necessarily the business is overwhelming. Sometimes it's the relationships you have. I'm just gonna say that. Because I mean, don't get it twisted. Like, there are great relationships that you can have. I've had friendships for years and years and years, my family, right? But you have to understand where to place them. And so for me, I would allow myself to continue being in relationships and not knowing where to place them. So the burnout came from, oh, I need you here, I need you there. Because I was always the it girl. I was always the, oh, I'll take the phone call. Oh, I'll be there for you if you need me. Oh, let's work on this project together. If you're that type of person, right, and you're always the it person, like, you can go to Teecee for that, right? Then people in your family, your friends, people know that about you. And especially if it's something that you're doing in your business. And I have definitely had to compartmentalize this because it can take on an emotional toll. If you are dealing with people, especially in your family, that's like, oh, help me, help me, help me, help me. And you were always the help me person. Guess what? They're not going to stop asking for help just because you have a business. They're not going to stop saying, oh, well, I'm family. Don't you want to? They're not going to stop that, because the truth is that you teach people how to treat you. And for all of our lives, what we usually do is teach people how to treat us in a way where they can come to us for any and everything. And when you have your business, and this is kind of what we coach on, right? And Teecee, I know she knows these boundaries very well. You got to be able to know when it comes to your business, how to compartmentalize those things, where people fit in. And that's where systems come in place. And that's where strategy helps you stay focused. Now, when we don't have those things in place, a lot of times we get ruled by our relationships. And I was the one that actually had that happen to me, where in my beginning stages, even in this particular business, and I'll let Teecee have the mic after this because I have so many stories for y'all. But I was working with a family member because, of course, beta testing is not a big deal, right? No pressure, right? Let me work with a family member. Let's test it out. Let's see. And the truth was that I wanted to have the best of both worlds, right? I wanted to be on the phone with her like family, and I also wanted her to be my beta tester. But the truth is, I had to pick, right? I had to choose, because I was frustrated because at the end of the beta testing, she was the only candidate that did not do what she was supposed to do. Out of all of the beta testers, it was embarrassing. It was one of those things that I remember feeling like, oh my God, like I was more overwhelmed and stressed by the fact that she was not doing what she needed to do rather than focusing on the people that were. So your relationships, y'all, the way that you allow people to be in unison in your business practices matters too. So you have to be able to separate and compartmentalize where people belong when it comes to your business, so you don't hit that burnout. And we can talk about that more in the series, Teecee, because we're going to be doing this series with my other I have two more partners that are coming on, and we're going to be talking to y'all about this ongoing. Because the truth is that this season is always the season for burnout, especially for mompreneurs. And as long as we're here, as long as Women into Networking Win is around, our goal is to empower you throughout these seasons so you're not feeling left out or alone, or that you don't have community. So I want you to elaborate on that, Teecee, because I know I said a lot, but yeah, I want you to take us in.
No, I agree. And I wanted to say this, it's very easy for people to misinterpret certain things. So let me go back to what I initially said. Now, I know that I am multi-passionate, and I love all of these things, happening. But mind you, it is also important that you know that I have set boundaries. Okay? Because you see, the truth is why so many people, especially multi-passionate, not every multi-passionate individual is able to have successful businesses. You know why? That is because they do not know where to draw the line. Listen, your relationships, your personal lives is an integral part of the success of your business. Now, if you're like me, you can get to this stage where you do not know how to draw the line because, yeah, you'll be like helping everybody. You want to be excited about everything. But listen, I would not think twice to block you, remove you. Okay? If you're a family and you're not adding any value, listen, it's all about the value to me. And I'm in like you're not done yet. I'd be like, no. Now, if you want explanation as to why I said no, I would tell you. Now, if you want to shift it, I would tell you, see, right now my schedule do not align with this. But if you can wait, whatever you have can wait. I mean, it's fine. Because sometimes these things can get us in that space where what we see as excitement, what we see as, oh, I'm loving this, you start to dislike it, or using the right words, you start to hate it. Why? Because you have let what I call certain insignificant things or elements into draw that line. The same way you build systems around your business, you build same structures around your life. Because as a business owner, you are living, your business is living. When you start to become a business owner, when you start to become an entrepreneur, see, it's not those days. Somebody that used to know you 2 years ago when you were an individual, when they start to know you as an entrepreneur, is a different ball game entirely. How you used to act, how you give them the 1 billion hours. See, it is now, see, some people will reach out to me and they'll be like, oh, is it not? If I feel you want to stress me out, I block you, finish. Nothing. Because at the end of the day, you're not adding any value to me, not to my personal development, not to my business. Give me one reason why you want me to exert my energy and my time and my mental space. Listen, I can give you money. Like, some of I had this thing with my sisters and they'd be like, oh, but I had to make them understand over time. But there was a time where it was difficult for them to understand. I said, see, there was this time in my business life. I said to them, see, at this junction, I can give you money. But you see, what I can't give you is my mental space, not even 1% fraction. Because I was at that space that time. Now, when I went out of that space, I myself and myself alone, I went back to them. I said, I'm sorry because I've achieved what I wanted to achieve. Yeah, there will still be family, there will still, but see, if you don't draw the line will draw you. And when you get to that stage, you'll be like, oh, so what do I do now? And trust me, you know that part where they say, no one is going to come save you. You have to save yourself. Because these people don't understand nothing. So whether you're up or whether you're about strategies to explain to them, make sure that you have the right structures in place that would guard not only your mental capacity, but your every capacity. Think about it. So if you're telling yourself, oh, TC, I'm like you, be like me in everything. By creating that structure, by creating that system, by setting and staying disciplined to your own set boundaries. Let your no be no. I mean, people will get upset, but they will understand later on, and that's okay. They'll be fine. Because after, yeah, that will solve it. But for that particular time, you've been able to establish what is important. I am an entrepreneur, so you need to start to respect that time. You need to respect my time. You need to respect my mental space. You need to respect everything about me because times have changed. As an individual, I am now a different person. I am now a different person. I am now an entrepreneur, and they come with a different kind of sauce. Listen, you're an entrepreneur of $10, you're an entrepreneur of 1 million. It's the same thing. Entrepreneur is entrepreneur. See, start to leave the 1 million kind of box, kind of entrepreneurship kind of vibe. All right. So don't let anyone don't let anyone drag you. Right? Some people be like, but I'm not making money yet. Listen, if you're yet to set those boundaries, stick to those boundaries, put those structures now that you're not making money yet. I promise you, even when you think you start to make money, you will even find it even more difficult. Because the more money, sometimes the more drama. Now, if you don't have certain things in place for you to combat all of the drama that will obviously come your way, it's gonna be a hell load of burnout issues. Over to you, Allegra.
Thank you for that, Teecee. I really do love this conversation because it's so true to the heart of where we are in business in this season. And you started talking about some of the causes of burnout. And, we did, lay out the signs, because if you know what the signs are, you can identify and you can say, am I burned out? And any of those signs that we said here on this stage, you can just say, check, no, 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 whatever. But if you do find that you are burned out or you're leading to that, right? This is the point. We don't want you to get there. Like, we don't want you there. Like, we want you to be healthy and in the right mind. And from our experiences, we know how we got there. And I've done the same thing with my clients, right? Like, you see the signs and you're like, wait, that's going to lead you to burnout, right? And so we want to pull back and we want to pause. I love the story that Teecee's talking about. Well, now I'm not as harsh and as vicious as Teecee can be, because we all have had our different experiences and we all have different personalities. Teecee has to deal with hers the way she does. I do it mine the way that I do. And I've had very similar experiences, right? As a matter of fact, I had to take some people in my family through therapy with me because that was the only way they could have a relationship with me. Sometimes you got to be able to tell people where your boundaries are. And it's okay, because they will get it together. If they want to be in your life, they will get it together. But you have to focus on you. What is necessary for you right now? What is it in your heart, your mind, your spirit that's telling you what you need to do? And listening to that. That's the point. Sometimes we don't hear it well enough because we've ignored it for so long, right? Or we never identified our own true voice. So I understand that. But if you are in that place, it's okay. You can start to listen to yourself. You can start to actually have those times where we tell y'all, get into a quiet place and stop working so much. Because the more you're working and working and working and working, that excessive workload, long hours, high demands, lack of control over your work, that's why I tell people it's not about the 9 to 5. It's about the job that you decided to take, right? Because there's a lot of 9 to 5 jobs that you can just sit back like, I guess I can call him future husband because we're getting married, but literally, I don't even say fiance because it don't matter to me. I literally say this. He will be at work and he will just be like, yeah, I just kind of like doze off for a little bit. I'm like, what kind of job do y'all have where y'all just like be like, oh man, I almost doze off? Like, is that boring? Like, is that like, no, we just like simple things, right? Because most people want to be able to work, but they want a balance, they want a harmony, right? They want to be able to say, I didn't have a really hard day today. But that's why I tell people, if you want it to be seamless and more simplified, right? So that you're not getting burned out and you know how to manage yourself well, then don't go into business. Learn that stuff first, right? Stay at your 9 to 5 and learn how that works for you, because business is harder. It's not easier. It's not easier. It is harder. So being able to say, hey, like, excessive workloads, long hours, am I working long hours? Are there high demands on my time, right? Do I have boundaries? Do I have time for my family, myself, right? And not just the work. Lack of support. So, that's another cause of burnout. If you're basically like, if you have managers that you work with at your job and they're not managing you, that can cause burnout, because you're like figuring it out for yourself, right? And the same thing when you're in business and you're trying to do it all by yourself and you don't have a coach or consultant or someone to assist you, a mentor. It don't have to cost money, y'all. People have this bad taste in their mouth about what a coach means. I don't like, it doesn't matter, because the truth is that whoever helps you, whatever that title is. You just have to find out whatever that is. And sometimes us being, so of the societal norms, right? Like, oh, well, that's not in anymore and this is trendy. You follow that and sometimes you miss what you really need. So go back to the drawing board, like find out, like, where is your support? Where are your colleagues, your loved ones? Because with the lack of support, when you don't have that, that causes so much burnout because you have no choice but to do it by yourself. You have that work-life balance. If you don't have a good, we call it harmony. If you don't have good harmony in your work and your life, you overextend yourself and you neglect your personal needs or your self-care. Self-care does not necessarily mean doing your nails and your hair, because I will let my stuff go in a heartbeat. Self-care is what you're doing for your actual self, your mind, body, spirit. Okay. So if I don't go to the nail salon today, I'm not going to die. But I will definitely make sure that I pour into myself every morning. That is necessary. Because before I start my day, y'all, before I start pouring into anyone else in my day or give myself away of any way, shape, or form, I have to fill myself up. And the way I do that, I pray in the mornings. I do a little meditation to make sure I can breathe and get my body regulated and together, right? I listen to my motivational videos if I have to, right? I put the music on. I drink my water, right? Like all these things to make you very prepared. I promise you that when you do the self-care that is necessary for you, because everybody's body is different, then that's going to help you have that work-life balance, right? And then the last one of the causes of burnout is that the job expectations, that they're not clear, right? So if you're confused about like your role, or you get like lack of feedback, that can also contribute to your burnout. And this is a lot of people, because I work with individuals, and I'm sure you do too, Teecee, because I've seen some of your clients. It's like we're working 9-to-5 jobs and businesses. We're on that left side of the cash flow quadrant, which means that we can never leave what we're doing. Like you're still stuck in that position where if you want to take a vacation and disappear for a year and let your business run, you can't do that. So we have to make sure that you have clear expectations of what you're doing while you're in this place of growth, development, until you get to the side of the B and the I. Because if you're not being guided, right, what happens is we start to get frustrated at our jobs. We start to get frustrated in our businesses, right? And I've been there. And that's why I encourage everyone, Teecee, I promise you, get a business plan, y'all, because if you don't have something already written out that's going to tell you exactly what you need to do step by step, and it comes from you. It's not something that somebody's writing on your behalf. It's coming from your ideas, your dreams, your goals, all the opportunities that you're going to have in your business. That's where the SWOT analysis comes from, teaching y'all something. But you're going to have to be able to be guided in that way. And a lot of times the burnout comes from that lack of direction for our business owners. And in the job firm, if you don't have any clear directions of what your role is, and you're constantly going to work every day and you don't have purpose there, that can also lead to extreme burnout as well. We have ways that you can prevent and manage burnout.
I like what before. I like what before you go on, right? How about you talk about getting the wrong clients, working with the wrong clients? I feel like that also causes burnout. Like, I want you to talk about it. Like, working with the wrong clients. That is huge.
I wasn't even gonna bring that up. Oh God, y'all listen. Okay, raise your hand if you've ever worked with the wrong client. Okay, I'm raising my hand. Okay, Husan said he's worked with the wrong client before. Hey, San. Okay, I have done that more than once. Okay, and it's still something I'm working on, because the truth about it is that I've gotten to that burnout stage because number one, if you're in the beginning of your business, okay, and this is why I tell people to always look at their target audiences and who they need to market to right now. Because the client that I had in the beginning, when I told y'all I burnt out, it wasn't the right client. I just was overwhelmed, right? They needed someone that had a team, that had a time, discipline, organization, someone that had already developed it over time. But I was so gung-ho, right? So that client, and sometimes we think the targeted client is someone who is, has all this money and has all this stuff. And are you ready for that? Are you ready for the client that has a big business that's going to need you to go start working today, right now, or do you have to actually put that system in place? So that's always the case, because your targeted clients are people that are going to be able to get served from you from what you have available today. So if you don't have things in place, like for example, if you start out your business, and this is what a lot of people do, they go out on social media and they start promoting everywhere. I want everybody to be my client. They start promoting on every channel if they can, right? But if they don't, then they go to a select channel that they think is going to be great, right? So I think Facebook is my channel. I think Instagram is my channel. And this is always the response that I get. So I'm not telling y'all something that's just like in the air. This is consistent. When people come, the one of the questions that I ask, the first question is, why did you start your business? That's always the first question. But when we get into some of the nuts and bolts of it, and I'm asking them, well, why that platform? And they'll go, oh, because truthfully, what comes down to it is that's just the platform they're on at the time, and that's the platform they like the most. So it's not always about your target audience. And so when we identify who our target audience is, so for example, if I know that I want to work with women entrepreneurs, right, in a certain location, right, because that also is part of the avatar. If you're spreading all of your information all over the world, right, it's like start in your own neighborhood. like start with your neighbor. Start with the people that can actually get to know who you are right where you are, and tell them the real true message, which is, I'm just starting out and I want to work with people that I can manage. Now, qualify people by saying, can you manage them? What are your needs? And that's why in the beginning, we always survey and market. Because if I jumped in and just started saying, I can help you in your business, right? I can help you in your business. Next thing you know, I'm just having all these different type of targeted audiences that my message is not clear to. So they're expecting results from an unclear message. And then when they don't get the results that they wanted, then who would it fall down on? It falls on me, right? So being able to have your targeted audience means that, number one, it's not just about burnout. It's about clarity of mind. Because when I talked about burnout, y'all, I told y'all that I couldn't even think straight. And so in the beginning, when you start working with clients, you want to pick the right ones. You want to pick the right ones. And when you find out that that's not the right client, the thing that will cause burnout is by keeping them. If you keep that client knowing that they're not the right one, even if you do it, because we said we raise our hands, I picked the wrong client, got it, did it, done. But am I keeping them? Right? Because if you're not attributing to the success of the business, even as a client, you gotta go. Gotta go. This is not a personal thing. This is about me making sure that I can fuel this thing so that in the future I can make more impact, that I can create more things for the world to see. How does that look if I'm constantly serving the wrong people? And I'm gonna tell y'all that it is frustrating, it is overwhelming, and they will frustrate you. Why? Because they're not the right client. They're gonna find ways to frustrate you, right? And I will stop it there, because there's so much that goes with that. I have stories for days, but Teecee, I hope that they answered the question, and just making sure people understand that burnout can come from different ways. Your relationships with your clients, the way that you choose your targeted audiences, that's going to matter. And if you keep the wrong people around, I believe that that's really what causes the burnout. I don't think choosing them causes the burnout. I think that when you decide, I'm just going to keep dealing with it, I'm just going to let them keep calling me after hours, I'm just going to let them keep blowing me up with stupid emails asking the same questions, I'm just going to let them just take advantage of my time and ask for discounts. No. You need to get rid of those people, because the truth is that a lot of times they're wastemytime.com people. So you have to put them in that category, okay? So when we do targeted audiences and avatars, I literally have a column that says wastemytime.com. And if your name is in that column, you probably know it, because I don't pay no attention to you, right? I don't give any energy that way. And people will be like, oh, that's mean. It's not. It's about business. And in my personal life, if we friends and we cool, then you got to worry about that, right? But when it comes to the business part, we got to be very, very strategic about our relationships, y'all, and do not mix the two. And too many of us are definitely mixing the two. So I'll stop there, Teecee. Back to you.
I see. Listen, it is very important that we understand that, who we work with is an integral part to the success of your business. Now, personally, I always like to say that entrepreneurship should be seen more as a collaborative activity, right? A collaborative journey, meaning especially as a service provider, especially as a service-based business owner. Listen, you cannot provide exclusive experience. You cannot provide that transformation if the other party is not willing, right, to embrace that transformation. The transformation you want to you seek for your clients, you cannot want the success of your clients more than your client, because when you start to do that, you are heading towards burnout real time. You cannot want something more than the person that actually needs it, if you understand what I mean, right? Now, and that's why I say it's peculiar, much more peculiar to service-based businesses, coaches, consultants. If you have a service, if you have to deal with people, right, you have to have this connection with them. Listen, the truth is, the people that you connect with, your customers, your clients, they're very important to your own business success. It's not about somebody gives you money, right? Now, that is just an added thing for you to get them stay focused, right? Because when people pay, they pay attention, right? But that is just one element out of the other elements, which is very crucial. Because if you are meant to do a certain job, right, the other party needs to be in a collaborative situation with you for it to be successful. Even when they say, oh, we do done for you cannot also work in isolation, because I still need you, for example, to give me something, right? I still need you to test out something. I still need you to check it out to see if it's in alignment with your personality or alignment with. I still need you to walk through that process. I still need you to come down and say, okay, you know what? Let me show you step by step what was done. Right? So if you are that business owner who would say, oh, you know what? I just need somebody who would just take over my business. And when you take over my business, I just give you my business. That means the business is no longer your own. The business is mine. So let us start to study the record straight. Is it your business or my business? Because if it's my business, then I take over your business. I take over every single time. You just go and fold your leg, and think about it. All of these big brands. So we have like these big brands, small brands. You can go watch the series, yeah. And when we talk about these big brands, their founders don't. Did you ever hear a situation where their founders be like, go cross their legs? See, listen, the higher you go in your entrepreneurial journey, right, the more strategic, okay, you get. It's not the same thing as you go, I cross my leg, and then you go and lounge and you think somebody is going to blow up your business on your behalf. No, what happens is that you start to focus on income generating activity. You start to focus on much more higher impact activity. Now that's different. Okay, it doesn't mean that you're going to fold your hands and fold your legs and be like, imagine if you're a health coach or you're a fitness coach. Listen, what kind of transformation do you want to achieve when the other person is not willing? If they don't go through the process with you, they're not going to get nothing. You can't do magic. I push it to you. Don't let nobody deceive you. Listen, every time I come here, I'll be like, I want flat tummy, I want flat tummy. I'll be like, I know that Dr. Al, but personally for me, I know that I'm not, you see, I will frustrate Dr. Al. Yes. And because I know I don't want to frustrate him. I respect myself. Now, it doesn't mean that he cannot help me and guide me towards getting the flat tummy. Yes, he can. He can. I know he can. But am I willing at this stage in my life? Is it somebody like me that will go to the gym today? After I start to see improvement 2 weeks, I don't tell myself, oh, I call my husband and be like, baby, what do you think? Is my stomach flat enough? My husband would then deceive himself, says he's deceiving me, and say, your tummy is so flat. I'll be like, okay, we're no longer going to the gym. Listen, you see, I'm just telling you my truth. I know Allegra wants to say something, so just use the mic to her.
I wasn't going to say anything. I'm just back here cracking up. So I just want to say, hey, Richard, welcome. And Hassan and Belle is still in the house. Holly is still here. Hey, Soda. So listen, we do have to end this live stream. It's so much fun here. But I just feel like at the end of the day, we have control over this overwhelm and burnout, period. And I love that I learned through my burnout, right? It's one thing to get burnt out. It's another thing to keep doing it. I know people who get burnt out every year, the same time, every year, to the point where it's become normal. That's the problem. The problem is you don't want to make it normalized. Like, you want this to be something that wait, I'm going to catch that. Because we are building a business and we're all looking to put our ideas and our thoughts and our intentions out there for the world to see. But we do have to be number one, you have to understand what burnout is. And we talked about that. So if you missed that in the beginning, go back to the replay. We talked about the actual key signs of burnout. Like what does it look like? Because if you're going to identify if you are burnt out, like I had to identify it, I didn't know because I didn't know what burnout looked like. I had no clue what burnt out looked like. I was thinking, oh, that's got to be pretty bad if you're burnt out, right? Well, guess what? I looked it up and it was exactly what I experienced. I thought I was just sleepy all the time. I thought that my motivation was just low. I thought that maybe I was just doing it and I just needed to switch up a little bit and do something different. But the problem was that I switched up and did something different because I was feeling burnt out instead of saying, pause. Why do I feel like this? And actually assessing the situation, because in that period of time, y'all, okay, I was doing all those things. I was working really, really hard, but not smart. I was trying to do everything myself, but because I didn't have support or I didn't seek the right support, I didn't create a work-life balance that I really desired, right? I was overextending myself every day and I kept doing more because I felt like the more I do, the better I can, it's stupid, but that's what I did, right? The more I do, the better it's going to get. That's not the case. What I really want to say this before we end this live is this is how you prevent and manage your burnout. Okay. You're going to have to set boundaries. Myself and Teecee talked about that today in different ways, but prioritization is so key. I told Teecee a story about a young lady that came to me and wanted to start a membership. And y'all know I help a lot of my business owners coach them on building communities within their business now. Okay. And she was saying, I want to start a community where it's $27 before Black Friday. And then after Black Friday, it'll go up. And she had this whole strategy, y'all. And she's also a coach like me. So it's not like she was, not doing what she needed to do in her business, right? But she also does a lot like me. We do social media. We do all the marketing, right? Inbound, outbound, all of it. But it was interesting how when she came to me for the support and she laid down everything that was in her membership, and I was like, I would join that for $27. Like, heck yeah, I'll get in there. But I asked her, why are you starting the membership? And she goes, to be honest, it's because people can't afford me. And I was like, So what is and this is where the priority came in place, right? Because Teecee, I think you said it, your highest income generating activity. And that's exactly what I asked her. I said, what is your highest income generating activity? What is it that you were doing before that was making you providing the most money for the business? And My thing came off. And she said it was social media management, managing social media accounts for people who did not want to or did not know how to. And, I think, TC, to your point, a lot of us are trying to get people to do the business for us. A lot of us, and this is not like companies, like a lot of companies, when they're paying you well, you get your team and you run it like it's your business, okay? You do whatever you got to do as long as the money matches, right? Charge them $100,000 and be like, all right, I got you. But if you are like in a position where you're dealing with individuals and things like that, it's a little bit different. So I will say this. She told me her income generating activity was social media management, and she did it for a large corporation. But she was saying that she wanted to start this other membership because it was more affordable. And so I was confused. Well, I don't get it. Why would you start a membership for $27 if you have a income generating activity already? And she said, because I'm tired. Because the people that I really, really want to work with, like the individuals that are starting the businesses, the people who, can't afford me, right? They're the ones I really want to work with because I'm tired. And I said, well, why are you tired? Where's your team? Oh, well, wait a minute. So we're actually taking on large accounts with no team. Of course we're going to get burned out, right? So what we discussed was don't take on another task, okay? Don't add to your plate by adding a membership, right? Because that means that you're going to have to rebuild something new. You're going to have to reintroduce it. Now you all in people's DMs asking them if they want to join your membership. I mean, come on. You already got enough going on. Go back to where you already started, right? And come to find out that after we talked, right, I literally felt like I gave a whole coaching session. She came out with a notebook full of notes and she was like, I'm going back to the drawing board. Because the truth is, we forget sometimes and we lose our way and we're like, oh, I was supposed to do that, but someone told me to do this. And then I saw that and I did that. So being able to set your boundaries and know how to prioritize yourself, that's number one. And so I told her to go back to the drawing board, prioritize her income generating activities, and delegate to the people that she hires, period. And learn to say no. Like if someone's coming to you and they're saying, hey, can you help me with social media? And you look at their social media and it just don't qualify for what you do, say no. If someone goes, oh, can you please just help me out a little bit? I don't really have the money. And no. I mean, I can give you a discount. But no, we're not just going to give it away. What makes you so special? So we have to look at that. How are you setting boundaries? Self-care, exercising, eating healthy, hobbies, right? I asked my mom yesterday, when was the last time you was a kid? She went to Disney World this past weekend with her job. And I said, did you go have fun? She said, yeah, I had fun. I took a picture next to Minnie Mouse. I said, so when did the kid in you get to play? Okay. So sometimes we are so involved in like, oh, self-care means doing my nails and doing this. No, self-care means, are you enjoying your life? Are you taking care of the little person still inside of you that may even still need a little bit of healing while you're going through this business development, right? Are you taking care of yourself by eating the healthy things that make your body feel good, not them soulful meals that make you pass out after you eat it? That is not a thing. That is not good that your body shuts down after you eat food. I would say there's a whole other different conversation. But I will say that eating healthy, good hobbies, exercising, that restores your energy and reduces your strength, y'all. I mean, reduces your stress, getting tongue tied. You got to seek support. You got to talk to someone. I don't care who it is, if it's a mentor, if it's a friend, if it's a therapist. I prefer a therapist because my therapist is unbiased. So whoever that, like, I have an ongoing therapist, but sometimes I'll get some extra help. It's good to have people tell you about you, because the truth is that you will let yourself slide. You will allow yourself to do the wrong things over and over and over again, and you'll forgive yourself for not getting it done, but you won't forgive other people. Right? You'll let yourself slide, but you won't let nobody else slide. So you got to take that same energy and you got to get somebody to get you in check, because you're not going to check yourself all the time, right? And then the last one is reevaluating your goals. You got to reflect on all of your personal values and your goals to ensure that they align with your current path. All right. Because if they don't align with what you believe, what you're doing, if it doesn't feel good, get rid of it. All right. Improve your quality of life, y'all. We got to get out of here. Thank y'all for listening. Teecee, any final words before we dip?
I just wanted to say that what's the point of having a business that you end up, crumbling? It doesn't necessarily make sense, does it? Now whether we agree or not, that's what happens when we embrace burnout. Now, understanding that burnout is real, identifying what understanding these triggers, you are able to get the best, out of your business so that you don't get to this stage is very crucial. So what I would just leave us off with is, now all right, put in what is needed to ensure that you don't get to that stage. Because between now and the end of the year, so many people, so many business owners, so many small business owners, so many solopreneurs are likely to get to that stage of burnout. Now, December, January, February, you can still make as much money as you want to make, right? But the question is, would you have the capacity to do that? Now, think about where you are. Think about ways you can manage what you have, ways you are able to stay away from burnout and implement it right away. I mean, all of these things are meant so that you can implement it. And that's where I'm going to leave us from. Thank you, everyone, for being here, and over to you, Allegra.
Okay, now, so we're getting off the live stream. Thank you, Soda, for being here, Belle and Hassan and Richard for sticking around. We'll come back to this. I don't know, Teecee, if you want to do a live stream on it, but I know we have it scheduled on Clubhouse. Usually every Thursday we bring you the Big Brand Small Business series, but I think we're ending that series at the end of this month. So we just wanted to bring a little bit of this this room here that we're going to be doing on Clubhouse in place of that today. So we will be returning back with the Big Brand Small Business next week. But I just want to make sure that y'all have an opportunity to get to know more about this season. Every single year, y'all, and this is part of my systems, every single year, I focus on burnout recovery for my business owners, right? So if you're in like any of my coaching programs and things like that, that's part of our conversations at this time of year. It's so structured that when we come to this time of year and we have those same conversations, it's like, it's weird because it happens every year and we always have the same conversations. So this is an opportunity for us to just kind of get through this season of saying, what is it that I need to focus on that's going to help me reduce my burnout? Now, you may not perfect it next year. You may not perfect it the year after that. You may be a vicious cycle of burnout all throughout the year. But the point is that as long as you're taking small steps to get yourself in a place of not being so overwhelmed and not being so stressed, because a lot of that is our default and our comfort zone, if we're really being honest. So let's start looking at how we can, reframe our mindset around that. And when we get in these Clubhouse rooms every week, okay, you can go ahead and RSVP under Women into Networking Win House, and we call it a chateau. You're going to be able to come on stage and we're going to talk about some of these areas of burnout, because a lot of us are experiencing it. It's no need to stay quiet about it because there's no secret, right? We're all business owners. We all want to make sure we grow and we prosper in this season. So in order for you to get what you need, sometimes you have to open up your mouth, all right? So we're going to do that next week. We'll see y'all in the room. Thank y'all for joining us and have an amazing day.